This is a DIY rear wheel carrier. It comes with all these pieces that you see on the table. It doesn't come with that. It comes with all these pieces. All of the flat plate is 5mm mild steel, laser cut here in Sydney. 5mm thick, with 12.5mm cutouts to sort of 12mm bolt. Fit a 12mm bolt in there. We're going to be putting it together today, showing you how it works, what it can hold. How it all works is just a stub axle that we get from our suppliers. 40mm thick round stock, I think it's called. Round stock, machined in. Made specifically for this. You can buy these online on their own, but we buy them, we put them all together in the kit. Everything's all laser cut. As you can see, all the parts, all laser cut. They all fit together really good. And it can go, it's a rear wheel carrier that can go for the left and the right side. So it can go on the left side or the right side of the vehicle, on the rear of the vehicle. So you can mount it, on the left or the right, either side. Comes with all your parts that you need for this to keep your grease in there. We're going to put it together and show you guys how it's done. All right, guys, this is the trailer hub assembly that comes with the kit. It comes with everything. It comes with your stub axle. Stub axle's 200mm long overall. You can see that. 200mm long overall, and the outer casing of it is about 96mm overall. As you can see, very heavy duty construction in there. It's machined, very heavy duty, feels definitely heavy duty. Comes with all the bearings, that you need, as a stub axle for a trailer would. Comes with all your bearings, your caps to keep your, keep your grease in, your grease seals, your washer, and your little castle nut, and your split pin to hold it all together. Goes together fairly simple. This can be a bit of a pain to get in sometimes if it doesn't get on straight. There we go. We eventually got it on. So it does slip on. As you can see, once it's on, it is a very tight fit, but it does slip on very easy. So that goes on first. The collets or the covers for these, they're pressed in there. They're machine pressed. It comes like that from the supplier. You are meant to put this on first, the other way, but we're going to leave that off for the video so we can show you. So that goes in there like that. Put the other small bearing. The other bearing goes on top, just slides over the top. Same thing, because it's machined on an angle, it will sit in there correct. So it sits on there. You put your washer on, and then your castle nut. Castle nut goes on top, and then once it's all done, of course, you have to put all grease in there. You have to put grease in there before the final assembly, but we won't do none of that because we're going to weld this out, or tack it together so you guys can see. You put your castle nut on, you put your pin in, and then once your pin's in there, the cover goes on the top, and that just gets tapped down with a hammer. You can just tap that down with a hammer. But for the sake of the video, we'll leave that off for now. But yeah, it's a very sturdy part, and very heavy duty. Just so it does stick out the bottom of the big piece here. Sticks out at about 87mm, sticks out the bottom. The diameters of these, this is the solid bar. That's about, what is that, 40mm? It's 40mm, and this one's about 70, I believe. 70, that one's right on 70. So that's 70mm outside diameter for that one. 40mm outside diameter for the solid rod. So yeah, that's the assembly for your hub there, for your trailer hub. Next we got the flat bar. Not the flat bar. We got the laser cutting parts. So we got 3 parts. You just got your end cap. This goes on the top of the tube. This doesn't go on this tube, but I'm just showing. It does sit on the top there, so that way you get a nice Get a nice flat weld around it. It's easy corner to corner. You can do a nice weld on it. You do have, then you've got your laser cut pieces. Now this is to sit on the bottom there. So that will weld on that bar wherever you decide to put it, because you got your spring piece there, your spring pin there, and this is your locking mechanism. You will see that as we go further in the video, showing how it actually works, where we put it, and it does have, you'll notice one of them, this one here, is a smaller gap, and then the rest are a little bit bigger. And that lets you open up a certain amount, and then, you know, from normal where it's staying all the way up to 90 degrees and past 90 degrees to open up. So that way your back, your tailgate or your back swing outdoors, everything can open. Your tyre carrier will be completely out of the way. Your tyre and your tyre carrier will be completely out of the way, so that way you don't, it doesn't hit. And then this is the part that goes, your tyre will bolt to. This part here welds to it. It is on an angle, if you can see that. It is on an angle, so when it welds, it is on about a 5-degree angle. So when it is, and you'll see all this, when it's mounted, you'll see how it sits. So we'll tack it all up, and you'll see how it's all mounted. Now with the tube, it comes with all the bolts as well. So you got the 12mm bolts, 40mm long. They're all 12mm. Where are we? 12mm. 12mm bolts, and they're all 40mm long. So 40mm long, comes with 3 bolts, 3 nuts, 3 washers. The bolts are designed to be welded to the back, or at least we have welded to the back of this, so wherever it fits on your tyre, you can weld the back of the nut, so they always will stay there, and you won't need 2 spanners or 2 shifters to tighten it up. You'll just need one on the front to tighten them up. And then you've got the tube. The tube, you've got your main bent piece. So your main bent piece, which has got the top, that's where that end cap goes on the top there. So if you look at it on the top, that's where your end cap will go. That's where the end cap goes. And then the other end is notched. The other end is notched to fit, it's notched to fit this out. So that's, get it right. It's notched to sit there. So now all the tube is all CNC cut. It's all CNC precision cut. You see it's all got a CNC cut notches in there. Same with the other end to fit the other end. So it will fit perfectly together. It's very quick to put this together because it's all notched properly, and it's already all done for you. So that sits in there. When we lift it up, you'll see it does sit in there fairly good. Very close fit. The notches all line up. Same with the top. As you can see that the notches all line up really good. Same with this. This is a piece that connects to your round disc where the wheel will go to. It's notched out so it does both left and right hand side. So we'll sit there, and then if it goes on the back, it can also sit on the back side. So on the back side with the same, and you can sit there so you can go left and right. So you've got that piece there, and then you do have a brace that sits in there as well. And they do all fit. They all do all fit together very good. It's a very good fit. It's all, like I said, CNC cut, so it all fits together really nicely. It is made to hold a 35-inch tyre, and yeah, it is made to handle a bit of weight, a bit of rough when you're out in the bush. You know, all the vibration, driving and all that stuff, it is made to handle all that as well. So we'll start putting it together, and you'll start to see the process of how it all goes together and how easy it is to put together. So guys, some of the tools that you will need to put this together, it's just basic tools. Most of you should have them all around the shed. If you're doing this, of course, the obvious one would be the welder. You do need a welder. This is a DIY weld together kit. We do try to make it as easy as we can for the DIYer, for the guy at home trying to make it, save some money and make it. So the notches and everything they do all fit together very good. So there's very little marking out and stuff to do. For example, you can mark this out, but it does come, we have done the holes, the slots, so that it does it sits very close. You can even line it up by eye. If you can see that, a lot of the slots are lining up, are coming very close, within a couple of mil. So you can line it up by eye. But if you did want to get it perfect, you could just, use your ruler, run off the center of those two slots, and then you mark your center. Now this will just give you a good indication where it's going. It'll give you the center mark. So there's your center mark. I understand, I just went off roughly off the middle of the slots. Then you could use your dividers and you can mark out actually where it's going to sit. You use a center punch when you're doing this, so on your mark that you've made in the center there, if you just do a little center punch, doesn't have a big one, just do one, it'll make it a lot easier when you're using the dividers, because then your dividers will stay there, and then you can just mark it. You just mark around, and that'll be where your tube will sit in the center. Like I was saying, the slots, they come very close to the tube anyway, so it is actually very close and very easy to line up by eye. But now you can see that mark in there, and it'll line up with the tube right there, so you've got it directly in the center. So yeah, basic tools that you'll need is, dividers, you got your texter, tape measure, if you do decide, you've got the hammer and center punch, and the little square. Little square will come in handy when you're doing the tubes, when you're putting the tubes together. They are CNC cut, they are cut very precise, so a lot of the times you won't even need these tools. But double checking your work and everything is not a bad idea to make sure it's perfect. Build it once, build it right. Now guys, as well, I did forget, of course you will need a welding helmet. You do have to be safe when you're welding. But yeah, we just line them up. Where is it? You just line up the ends, make sure it's all pressed in. It does press in easy. You just hold it in place. Just put a small tack. Give it a small tack on the other side as well. Now try to remember that your other tubes are going to sit on top here. So because of that, we're going to put a tack right on the back side, so it's not in the way. We'll put another couple of little tacks just to make sure it's not going to move anywhere. Put another little tack on this end, make sure it's not going to go anywhere. And that's the main frame tacked together. Now it is only tacked together, so we will be careful. We will try not to move it around too much. We will put a few tacks on the back side. Yeah, then we'll start putting the smaller pieces on. Now this, I'm going to simulate this build to go, if you're looking at the rear of the vehicle, it's going to be on the right side. So when it does come up and when we do put it together, it is going to stand like that and it is going to swing out this way. So I'm going to put it on the right side. Now guys, with this one, with the plate, how we've marked it in the center, even if you don't mark it, it's best to tack this on first, otherwise so nothing is getting in your way. I try to line it up as well, so the angle, the piece that's more of an angle, as you can see, I try to line it up with one of the slots, so that way it looks all symmetrical when it does go onto the vehicle. Even though the slots won't really be seen, that's what I like to do anyway. So with that there, I'll just tack that to the plate. If I get the tack, just do a couple little tacks. Now that's tacked to the plate. So now that's all tacked there. Ready for it to go. What way? Make sure we've got the right way. Ready for it to sit in place. And look, you just sit it there and it's holding. It's holding because all the notches all fit together nicely. I don't know if you can see under there, but all the notches are in there nicely. Now, once that's in, that can go in there as well, and it just tacks together. And that's most of your rear wheel, DIY rear wheel carrier put together. For the most part anyway, for the round tube. We still got the trailer hub to go, and the locking assembly, which we'll get to that shortly. So I'll just tack this together. Make sure it's square. With I was saying, with a small square, if you've got a small enough square that'll fit in there, and my one's not going to fit, but if you've got a small enough square, you can even use the back end like this, and make sure it is sitting square. So, and if it's not, you can just quickly fix it up. Just pick it up. But most of the time, they are sitting fairly square because of the precision of the CNC machine cutting it. Most of the time, it does sit pretty square, pretty flat on there. So, guys, I'm just going to go through, tack this up together now. This also because how it's cut, it will also make it square. So if it is a little bit out, this part will correct it. We do have to make sure that it is sitting straight on there. With the notches, it should sit fairly straight on there anyway. So let's put a small tack in there, and yeah, get it together. Just put a little tack there. I'm going to put a little tack, put this in place, so don't put too many tacks, just in case it does need to go into place. So that's in there now. That'll hold it nice and tight. Just put a small tack here. And I'll put a small tack up the top there. That's it. Now I will put a couple of little tacks on the back. This is just holding it together. And I'll put one down here on the side. So now that's holding it together. Next thing, we've got to put the end cap on, and we've got to put the bearing assembly on there. Now guys, it is important when putting a job like this together that you do have enough tacks so that when you do start to weld, it doesn't distort everything. When you weld, you put a lot of heat into something. You can put a lot of heat into something and you can pull it. So if let's say a piece is there like this, and if you put a tack just here, that piece is going to pull that way. So it's important to tack there and tack the back side. That way it's not going to go anywhere. So I've put enough tacks on now. Because I'm not going to be welding this out, I'm just going to be tacking it together to show how it all works. There is enough tacks on there now to hold the weight, hold a wheel. You'll see that it actually holds the wheel with just the tacks. So once it's welded, it'll be even stronger. All right, guys, the next thing that we have to do as well is, now I've just propped the job up on the bench, and I've just clamped it in. It doesn't have to be. I do have the table and the tools to do so why not use what you have? But some of you will just be working on a plain bench. You'll be able to do it without the tools, without the clamps. But it's got to sit in there. Now it just sits on. Now, how you put it on, you can just do it by eye and just spread out the distance equally on the tubes. That's about right. Now, we'll just sit in there. We'll just sit in there flush. It sits in there very nicely. Like I've said, the tubes are notched to suit, so it will sit in with a perfect gap to weld around as well. So, yeah, you can see. So I'll go ahead and tack that in. And once that's tacked in, we'll probably get it stood up, and we'll keep going with the rest. All right, guys, just going to tack this in. Just be mindful when you tack this in, if you do have it in place like I do with the solid bar in there, just the tacks, you're not going to fully weld it out. It's just tacks. You've still got bearings and everything in there. So we tack it in, we weld it out fully afterwards, once we've taken it apart. We've got to take all the bearings out. We can block off the end so we don't get any weld spatter in the end as well. But just for tacking it in, it's all right. So it's tacked in now, it's not moving anywhere. We do have, so we will, we'll get it standing upright, and yeah, we'll keep going. Just remember, guys, that I am only tacking this. This isn't going to be fully welded, so I'm putting a lot more tacks than what you would normally put on for welding. I'm just tacking it up so it doesn't move in the demonstration. But normally you'd put a couple of tacks on the ends, in the inside. You don't need a whole heap of tacks. As long as it's held, it should be right. Another thing to mention, guys, is this bottom piece. It sticks out 87 mil. So you can see it sticks out 87 mil. This rod here is made for you to cut down to suit, depending how high you want it from your rear bar. If you want it with all that space, by all means, you can keep it that long. But we did get it made longer, so that way you can trim it to what suits you. And before you weld it, make sure you do take everything out. I've just taken out the shaft and the bearings. I've taken them all out. Going on to the next step, where we mount the shaft, the solid rod, onto your rear bar. So just remember, before you weld this out, make sure you take it out. Take it the assembly. We will block off the ends as well. We will block off in here and the other side to make sure that you don't get any weld spatter down there. Alright guys, for the sake of this video, I'm using a piece of SHS 6565 by 3 or 4 mil, just to simulate a rear bar. I've just got it clamped down to the bench, just so we can see. Now I've gone ahead and marked just the centre, just mark the centre and use the dividers to make a circle where this is going to sit. Now remember, this is 40 by 40 outside diameter round bar, so I just made that a touch bigger, and it's just for argument's sake for the video, just showing where it's going to go. Now with your square as well, this is where your square will also come in handy on your rear bar. Make sure that it is sitting nice and square. So that's not too bad. It's a little bit off, and it is a little bit off. And in this case, the pin is sitting a little bit that way. So you'd put your tack on this side, because then it would pull the pin a little bit that way. Then before you tack the other side, you bring your square along, make sure it's square, and put another tack. So we'll go ahead, we'll tack that side now, and yeah. See, now it did pull that a little bit. Now it is sitting pretty good. You can see that it did pull a little bit, it's sitting pretty good. So I will put another tack on the other side. And then I will just tack these sides as well. Now because this is going to be holding all the weight, I will put a couple of bigger tacks on here. That way everything does stay safe. I'll just do a couple now. So that's all tacked in. Now we do have to put the bearings on. So we've got to put the bigger bearing. It's got to go on. Now that just slipped in nicely. So that goes on. Now we can put the wheel carrier on as well. The wheel carrier sit on. It sits into that bearing. We can put the other bearing on. You can see already that's holding it in place. We'll put the washer and the castle nut on. Now remember, this is only for the purpose of the video. Before you, like for fitment, this is all right, but when you take it apart, you will have to put the seals on. You do have this seal that goes on the way that it's going, the way that it's sitting right there, and it will go on before you put the first, the bigger bearing on. That'll go on first, because that sits in the bottom of this big piece here and stops any grease and anything coming out. Now that's just hand tight. It's just hand tight, haven't tightened it up fully yet, but you can still see how easy it moves. And sort of how it works. Now it is, of course it is, there is a big gap there. Like I said, this solid rod, the 40mm solid rod, can be cut down to suit. Obviously you'd probably want it a bit closer to your rear bar. But for the purpose of this video, I've just left it that long. But it does swing very easily as well. It does swing very easily. Yeah, so now we'll put the wheel on, and then we've got to start with the locking assembly. We've got to tack the spring pin to here, and we've got to tack this there. So that'll work like that. This welds, this part here, the pin welds to this, and then this part welds to the bottom rod. So, and that's your locking assembly. So once it's all welded, that'll stop swinging. It's a bit difficult when it's swinging all the time, but yeah, we'll lock that in and show how that part works. Another thing to make life a bit easier, if you do have a little block square, if you sit it on top, you will be able to get yourself a straight line on the hub assembly itself, making it a lot easier to line up your spring pin. So I'm just going to put one here as a reference line for now. Now we do have a vertical line that we can sort of run off. Now that's not the position exactly where I'm going to put it, but it does give me an indication of where. It will need to go a little bit further that way, so I'll just readjust. And then you can do it on both sides. You can get the measurement of this pin, of the backing plate, which is 30mm, and then you can do the lines 30mm apart or close enough to line it up. Now the wheel carrier is sitting straight along the line of the RHS, well, let's call it the rear bar. So it is sitting straight. So I do want this spring pin to be sitting 90 degrees to this. So sitting in line. So that way, when you do turn the carrier, it will end up, all symmetrical, right on 90 degrees on that side as well. So make sure when you're doing it that your wheel carrier here is sitting in line with your rear bar. You can sort of see it's a little bit out. That's sitting in line. That's sitting in line with the carrier. So that's where you start from. That way you can make sure when it's sitting in place, it is going to be straight and where you want it to be. Another thing is when you put your spring pin, I like to bring the bottom, so the bottom plate here, bring it either flush with the bottom of the your hub assembly or a little bit up. A little bit up's not too bad. That way you've got enough room for your pin and for your plate when your plate does go on. So a little bit, maybe 10mm from the bottom will be plenty of room. Make sure you line it up. As you can see, I've done another reference line. Make sure it's square along that face there. And you can just put a little tack at the top, right in the center, and that way if you do need to adjust, you'll be able to knock it over after. So that's in place, as you can see along the line there. I don't know if you can see the line, but it is pretty close to the line. If you do need, because you've only put a tack at the top, you can knock it into place a little bit. So that's good for where I want it. I'll go and put a few more tacks just along the side, and that'll hold that in place. Alrighty, the next thing to do is this plate, laser cut plate. Now this section here, that's cut out to suit with the same radius as the outside diameter of that solid rod, 40 mil. So it does fit on there fairly nice. So if you can, not sure if you can see that, but it does fit on there nice. Now when you do this, you have to make sure that you don't put it down too low. You need to make sure that you have enough grab on your pin. So when you do lift, if you do lift the pin up, it is enough to come in and out. It's a bit difficult to do. So I will tack this in place in the right height. Now we've got to make sure that this is square as well. We've got to make sure this is square with the rod, with the solid rod. So I'll just quickly tack that into place. Now I do tack the first hole. Before you tack it in, you have to make sure again that nothing moved out of alignment. You have to make sure that your rear wheel carrier is in line with your rear bar. You don't want to tack it and it's not in line. So make sure it's in line first. Once it's in line, then you can move to this step where you've already tacked your pin in. So then we'll just line this up. Now you do have all of these adjustments. So if you want to open it up to certain degrees, now I will show you that. Once this is tacked in, I will show you that. So what I just did it again to make it a bit easier. I've made a mark. You can probably see I've made a mark on the hole there, and I've marked around the rod there, and I've made a mark where that lines up. It's just an easier way for you to be able to get it square. Everything's not in your way. So I'm going to go through, tack that together now, line everything up with the marks, make sure it's all square, and then I'll put the wheel carrier back on. Should be in the right spot to be able to give it a test. So guys, we've got that tacked in now. That's in there, it's all square. I used the tape measure to help square it by measuring at certain parts of the rear bar. They all line up the same. So now we can put the bearing back in. There we go. We'll put the wheel carrier assembly back in as well. Make sure that lines up. The washer and the castle nut as well will then go back on top. And we'll just give it a little bit of a tighten up. Remember, these things don't need to be too tight. That's why we've got the pin. That's why the pin also goes in to hold it. So the pin slides through to hold it. So the nuts themselves don't need to be too tight. But as you can see, that's how it works. So, you know, it opens up and then it will stay in that position. It'll stay in that position. Same with if you want it to go further. You've got it more than 90 degrees now. You open it up, it's more than 90 degrees. So if you're looking at the rear bar, and then that's the rear bar there, it opens up more than 90 degrees. So you can open up to a certain amount, depending what you're doing. So we'll close that now. That'll be 90 degrees. All right guys, I've got the wheel put on. I had to get help, so I wasn't able to film that part. This one's quite a big wheel, 33 inch, 12.5 on a 15-inch rim. These are negative 44 offset, so it is quite a big wheel. As you can see, it is quite chunky. It does come close to the tube, but it doesn't touch. You've got about an inch down the bottom between your hand where it's going to touch, and you've got similar on the back here. So it does fit a big tyre. Like I said before, it can suit a 35-inch. That is locked in position. Right now it's just locked into the open position. So if you're looking at the rear of the car, if you're looking at the back, and in that section there, that'd be your your tailgate or your open doors, and then the wheel opens up past 90 degrees for you to get into your boot area. So now I've put the bolts in, 3 bolts, they line up, and I'm just going to tack the back of these bolts so that way it doesn't need to be a two-hand operation when you have to go tighten them up. So these will be welded in the back. So I'll just put a couple of tacks on there now, and yeah, then we'll close it up. So I've just welded, just tacked them in. Just remember, this is just for the video's purpose. So I've just tacked them in. When you are doing this, I would fully weld them out. So yeah, just for the video, I've just tacked them in. Now guys, don't forget also, it does come with one end cap, 2mm thick, mild steel, laser cut. It is made to go on that top of that tube that right at the top of the wheel carrier. So I'll tack that in quickly, and then it will be pretty much complete for just tacked in, and I'll show you the movement of it. So there you go guys, it is this is just a tacked version. You'd take it off now, take all the bearings, you'd weld it out completely. But right now it is just tacked in, it is holding, it is a very sturdy unit. It's now you will see the shake, just be mindful that it is only tacked to this RHS, which is clamped to the bench. So when it's on something a bit more sturdier, you won't have as much rock. So, but it does hold the weight. The locking pins, you lift that up and it will swing all the way back to closed. So yeah, that's how it goes, that's how it looks. And be mindful, this is a big tyre, this 33 inch, look how wide it is. And as you can see the angle that it's on. You can see the angle, it's on a 5-degree angle. So it does look a little bit more aggressive. It also suits a lot of the wagons. It suits a lot of the rear doors. They're not straight, they're actually on a bit of an angle on the doors themselves. When the doors lift up, they sit on a bit of an angle, so it does suit the profile of the vehicle as well. So yeah, now at the front, we do provide washers. I don't know if you can see in there, but I haven't put the washers in right now, but you put the washers on and then you just put the nut on. Tighten them up. 18mm socket to tighten those up. Now, yeah, and now it does open. Now on these holes, we have all these holes. They're all different angles. Now as soon as you hit this one, and then remember I said earlier in the video there's a small little section there, then these are a bit bigger. This one here, that's 90 degrees. And as soon as you get to that little one, that opens it up past 90 degrees. So nothing gets in the way of opening the doors. So be able to open it up, like that's it. That's on the third hole, and it opens it up slightly, and it will stay there. So it'll stay there. So that's the locking mechanism. So we'll open it up all the way past 90 degrees. So that's past 90 degrees. As you can see, I'm standing straight on a 90-degree angle from the rear bar, or the RHS, and it's open past 90 degrees. So that's the rear bar, the DIY rear bar. Yeah, all Australian made here in Sydney. So we do offer freight, we also offer pickup as well. So there'll be a link to the website underneath. And yeah. Now we do keep everything in stock as well, so if you guys do place an order, everything is in stock. So that's it in the closed position again. The lighting's not really letting me show you the front, but and just remember guys, we've done this just for the purpose of the video. Before you install it, the final install, this gasket has to go on the 40mm rod. It has to go on first, then the big bearings, then your block, and then the small bearing, and then you've got the washer and the castle nut. And then from the castle nut, you've got the little split pin. The split pin goes into the castle nut. There's a hole drilled into the thread and it pops in through. Now remember, they don't need to be so tight. And then after that pin goes in, then you put this dust cap on. Now these do have to be greased, so you can pack them with grease. You've got to pack the bearings with grease, and then that's where the seal is for the bottom. The bottom will stop the grease coming out the bottom, and then you've got your dust cap for the top. That'll also stop grease coming out the top. So yeah, that'll be done at the final assembly. We've got your 3 washers as well for the that go onto the front of the tyre on the bolts. So yeah, that'll all have to be done afterwards, after it's all welded, painted and cleaned up.